on this call, in this session, we want to help you turn the nervous feeling, anxiety, pressure of job searching into something fun and meaningful. Okay, that is the goal that we want to help you today. So I will hand over the session to Vaij. Let me also put you as a highlight for our audience today.
Sure, Kon. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I hope you all are doing great today. As Kon says, it's a happy Friday for everyone and a great head start for this new year. Hope all families and friends are safe. So we are kicking off today the first webinar of this year. I'm fortunate to be the moderator for this event. Thank you, Kon, for this opportunity, and Dr. Vivi for being here today, and all other friends and supporters and students who are interested to understand why this webinar is conducted in the first place. Landing a dream job is such a thing for every international student. Me, myself, being an international student, can get it right. It's more of getting to the place where you want to get to in life, right? Professionally. And for that, you need personal support as well. So today we are speaking more about building a success mindset. I think because they say everything what happens in your life happens because of a mindset you carry in your head. So that's very important to have that. And I'm glad we are going to talk about such a sensitive, critical topic for every international student who are traveling far away from their home countries and coming to places. So without taking much of the time, before we start, I would like to introduce our speakers today. Before that, very important thing, as we are on a webinar, there's some housekeeping which needs to be taken care of. I hope you all will support and understand this. So the session is being recorded, so you guys need not worry about it. The attendees, you guys have to mute and turn off your camera when you're not presenting, or you can be there and you can unmute yourself and ask questions, but rather we would prefer if you were using chat box and ask questions in the end if you would like to. So I would like to introduce two of my favorite people, Dr. Vivi and Coach Kwan. I'm happy to have met them in my life, so I'm glad we are here today. First of all, I would like to introduce Dr. Vivi. She is informed by her own journey as an international student and her training and experience as a psychologist. Dr. Vivi helps international students successfully navigate the personal, academic, social, and logistical challenges of succeeding in the United States. Originally from Taiwan, she speaks both Mandarin Chinese and English. She received her Doctorate of Psychology degree from Yeshiva University, New York, and has served in leadership roles in prominent psychological associations on the national and state level. We are so glad to have you, Dr. Vivi, today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Vaish, and I'm so excited to be here with everyone today to share some of my insight and experience coaching international students so far. And I would also like to thank Coach Kwan for your generous invitation. Thank you so much. And I look forward to a very stimulating discussion today.
That's awesome. So moving further, I would like to introduce Coach Kwan. She herself does not need any special introduction, but here I am just talking 2 cents about her. Kwan is an experienced human capital consultant and a career coach for international students. Originally from Thailand, Kwan moved to the United States and joined one of the world's top consulting firms in Chicago. With 20 years of experience at global companies like BMW, Accenture, and Deloitte, she helped companies develop talent development initiatives that impacted employees worldwide. Today, as the founder of ICAway, her mission is to empower international students for employability and serve international educators as a trusted advisor. So Kwan holds an executive MBA through Sasson and Kellogg School of Management, a global partnership, and certification of senior professional in HR by HRCI. That's amazing, Kwan. It's always nice to talk to you. So
thank you so much, Vice. Thank you for this kind introduction. And you Actually, we have lots of new friends joining us today, so they definitely don't know about me. So thank you so much. And Dr. Vivi, thank you for joining me today. I really admire what you're doing for international students, and you as an international student yourself, want to give back and pay it forward. That is so amazing. And Vaish,
Right.
you are the superstar of the show today as well.
For sure.
And
Thank
actually,
you.
what about we kick off this call a little bit with your own self-introduction to what school are you attending? What is your program? And talk about the
Sure.
new job that you just started.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that opportunity. So a little bit introduction to myself that I'm a master's student at State University of New York, Buffalo. I'm doing my master's in chemical engineering, which is chemical and biological engineering department. So I'll be graduating in May 22. So I have recently started my internship at TapeCon Incorporated, Buffalo, New York. So this is my third day today at work. So it's exciting. I'm having a great time here. So my manager was kind enough. He was happy that I'm moderating this webinar for the community and has given me the opportunity to be here. Yeah, and I have a little bit experience with respect to process packaging, and I'm a woman entrepreneur back in India. So I've traveled to the US to work more on the research part of it in the consumer and consumer goods industry and food industry, basically. So I'm glad to be here at this call today and helping you guys and moderating this event. I would love to hear from you guys.
So amazing to have you, Vaj, and congratulations on this new job.
Thank you.
This is
Thank you so
actually
much.
moderating the event. Let me share with you, like when I worked at Deloitte, it's a great skill to have. Because when you join big corporations when they have webinars, if someone can showcase their ability to moderate an event, is the leadership capability. So you are doing an amazing job. This
That's
should be
right.
on your portfolio.
Thank you for sure, Gwen. So now, as we have this topic of, we are trying to talk about the major highlight of this webinar, I can say, is like how self-criticism has to be converted to self-compassion, which Dr. Vivi really puts forward amazingly. I just want to know, Dr. Vivi and from Coach Kwon, about why this topic this year? Like, why is this the major topic you think is important? I would like to hear more about.
Yeah, Dr. Vivi, would you like to start?
Yes.
Sorry, thank you. So, when Coach Kwon approached me, sharing with me some of the struggles, international students that she's working with, we identified that, because we know Coach Kwon provide very insightful and very sort of effective curriculum for international students. But for some reason, there's seem to be like some of the students that would struggle from time to time, right? They know what are the things, the steps they need to take in order to sort of move forward in their job search process. But for some reason, some students just having struggle, sort of having that energy to mobilize themselves and to take the steps necessary to accomplish each of the milestones. So I think that what is really underlying that is about our beliefs, our faith in ourselves, in terms of the prospects, the possibility for us to be able to find a job in the US as an international student. Because when you have conviction about your ability to find a job, and not just any random job, but a job that you desire, then I think that conviction is going to translate into your motivation, determination, and also the action you take, and including also how you come across in terms of how you present yourself on your resume, right? How you come across if you're fortunate to get invited for an interview, how you come across during the interview. So I'm sure no employer would like to hire any students or any potential employee who come across as doubtful about themselves, right? They always want to hire employees who are confident, who know what they are looking for, and who know in terms of the value and asset they can bring to the company. And so with that, what is most important is if students and job candidates can cultivate a very important mindset, which is we call success mindset, then that would be the most important first step already in their successful job search.
Wow, that's such amazing insights, Dr. Vivi. Thank you so much. I would like to hear even for Coach Gon.
Absolutely, Vash. And Dr. Vivi, that's so true. How you come across in front of your potential employers, that is so important. It's beyond the technical skills on the paper. Because at the end of the day, people want to hire people that they like, that they want to work with. And I can give one of the examples of our students, Fernanda Garcia. She's got a job offer from Deloitte, auditing team. And the partner said that because we feel that you're going to be the cheerleader of the team. She's so got that positive vibe, and it's so important. She has not even started her degree in accounting yet when she got a job, an internship as an auditor. How that amazing. That technical skills not even yet on the paper because of her so positivity that shine right in front of the potential employers. So we want to kickstart our year with this topic, building a success mindset, because actually it sounds pretty easy. It's a short word, but it's so difficult to do. So in this call, we just want to provide some tangible approaches to help you all.
That's right, Gon. Thank you so much. So I think followed up to this, I feel me myself, I'm an international student to the US. So I feel this is a very important question that we tend to compare ourselves with others once we come out from different culture because we're trying to fix ourselves or try to change ourselves to a new culture altogether in the US. So what are your recommendations to help deal with this sort of situation? Because this is very self-critical. So, I mean, sometimes when you compare, it leads to that. Dr. Vivi, your thoughts on that, and then maybe Coach Kwon can add to it.
I think that it is inevitable that we compare ourselves with others, right? Especially, I would say, a lot of international students, they are able to come from their country and to the US to pursue their advanced education and career. Most likely back when they were back home, they are top students, right? How do you become a top student? A lot of times you need to stand out among competitions, right? In terms of the exams and college entrance exams and all of this, right? And so in that process, the educational mechanism is kind of giving students that mindset that I need to be the best, right? I need to be better than the peers around me so I can get the best grades, I can go to the top college in my country and things like that. And so that is something I believe a lot of international students have taken, an approach they have taken in order to be able to get to where they are today. But I think that we need to be aware of when that mentality and approach would actually get in the way of us continuing to progress in our career, right? So when we identify that self-comparison is really getting in the way, it's kind of overwhelming us, and to the point is no longer making us feeling motivated or being productive. And I think that is one of the early signs that we need to quickly realize, okay, it's perhaps time for me to think about a different approach that I can take that would maybe I can be my own cheerleader, right? I can continue to motivate myself and continue to use that to carry me forward. And so I think that self-comparison is inevitable, and it is what's also made a lot of international students become who they are and where they are today. But I think as students move forward to the more of toward the end of their educational career and about to embark on their career, the first step of their career, I think that we really want to pause and think about, how is this serving me? Is this continuing to help me to feel a lot of energy, and then to be able to have the drive to move forward, or this is actually slowing me down and is not really serving me as well as before. And so that is perhaps a time when students need to pivot. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great thought.
Yes.
Right. It's something it's hard to avoid, right? The feeling of not being enough, feeling like there's always somebody better than me every day. And with this social media world, it's just so hard for us to avoid comparing ourselves to others. So many things out there, so many information, so chaotic. And I hear you, being a teenager, being a young adult, back in my old day, it was difficult, but this day is even more difficult. Exactly. So I would like to say that instead of, again, it might be easier said than done, and it needs practice, right? So try your best comparing yourself with yourself yesterday. That is the best approach. We cannot be, the best of the game if we keep comparing yourself with others, ourselves with others. So look at yourself yesterday, like before coming to the US, your English skills was maybe this great, but now you're much better, right? All the words that come out that when you communicate with your friends is better each day. So those kind of little things that you have continue improving yourself from what you did yesterday, it will help making you feel like, okay, I feel that I'm a winner of my game today, right?
I love both the thoughts which you shared, because I think as an international student, I've tried to inculcate this fact that I'm better than yesterday. In simple words, I'm just trying to see that, okay, not comparing myself to others, but and respecting the fact that they have come from different cultures and they have achieved great stuff in their own home countries. And I think we have to have this learning mindset, as you mentioned, for sure, and move from here. Having said that, I would like others to drop in questions. If you have in the chat box, please feel free to ask, because we have great resources out here to help us out with our situations. And I'm empathetic towards all the international students out there who are trying to understand and figure out how they want to progress their career with the success mindset in the US. Um, like following up on this, now we went through the self comparison, and then we tried to understand that we have to not just compare with others. Like it's not that healthy, but comparing ourselves from yesterday or an hour ago also is important. But at the same time, when you do any sort of comparison, you understand that, okay, there is a need for repivoting. So you got to go to a place which is different than what you are right now. So we have to repivot to the new aspects of the culture in the US. So this sometimes gives us the feeling of overwhelmingness or anxiety, which is, I think the public or the audience today will agree to this. And what would be the approach of us as international students to, feel a little bit less overwhelming about all the situation, or less overwhelmed during this transition period from a different culture altogether? So maybe Coach Kwan can start here, and then Dr. Vivi can share her thoughts.
Of
Over
course.
to you, Kwan.
That's a great question, Vaj. Right? Anxiety, feeling overwhelmed. It happens a lot when we experience changes. Job seeking give everyone anxiety, even though you're not, even domestic candidates here, they also having that kind of anxiety and feeling overwhelmed. But for international students, that feeling is like triple, because it's a new country. You don't have your support system here. And there are so many things going on. Everything is brand new to you. So I hear you and I understand what you are going through. So what you can do is probably, set some small milestones, maybe a weekly goal, a monthly goal, and focus on that small milestone one step at a time. Like, for example, this week, your goal is to connect with people on LinkedIn and ask for a one-on-one conversation with your alumni network, at least 3 people a week. If you achieve that, give yourself a reward. Whatever you like to enjoy, do it. You are your own boss as well. It's like a project that you need to manage. And so try to set up that milestones and give yourself a reward. What do you think, Dr. Vivi?
I would like to I really agree with what Coach Kwan shared, right? I think that a lot of times students may not necessarily grow up in an upbringing or environment where even small successes are recognized, right? Oftentimes students may have parents who have high expectations and who have been kind of the driving force to help them to continue to challenge themselves and push forward, move forward. And so, but I have coached with many international students, and they often talk about how, when they maybe got a recognition from their professor, and on the other end of the meeting, I was like, great job. Like, this is something worth celebrating. But they were like, kind of, what are you talking about? Like, this is just normal. This is just what I'm supposed to do. And, guess where the mentality and reaction may come from sometimes, right? Actually, sometimes when I did sort of dig deeper into their upbringing and past experiences, sometimes they talk about perhaps when they were younger and they did something really great in pre-K or kindergarten or elementary school, and they're so excited to show their parents, right? Look, like I did a great job at school, but their parents sometimes they had a pretty lukewarm kind of response, kind of, yeah, good job, and continue. There's more you need to do. You can do better, something like that. So I think that it would be helpful for students to really get into the habit of celebrating, no matter how small, how tiny that success and accomplishment is, because it is because of that accumulation of that small successes that we are able to perhaps 6 months from now on, that we are able to look back and look at, wow, it is being a great journey that I've traveled. I have accomplished so much, right? So without that small accumulation of that success, that it's not likely to build to the bigger sort of achievement 6 months later. So we want to continue to be our own cheerleader. If nobody is our cheerleader or recognizing our effort, especially for a lot of international students, we tend to feel very conscious of our differences, right? When we are among a group of American peers, and first of all, we tend to feel very conscious about our maybe accent, or our English is nowhere as fluent as native speaker, right? So all of this is so striking and so easy to spot. And in that process, we tend to overlook our strength, right? What is our assets? We tend to get more drawn to, how am I not able to speak English as well as my American peers? How am I having struggled to find that word? How am I having trouble to be able to speak well in public like my American peers, right? If we really focus on those differences and things that we are not yet able to do as well as them, then we're going to continue to feel very beaten down, right? And in that mentality, it's definitely going to contribute to helplessness. Okay, and so we need to, no matter what, we need to make a decision that we have assets, we have strength, and we need to really work hard to identify those, because we will become our best advocate a lot of times, because a lot of people around us may not be able to see that right away.
So good.
I love the amazing thoughts, because I think it's very important to accept in what situation you are at and try to navigate from them, because sometimes we tend not to accept what we are feeling and say that, okay, we are trying to ignore the fact which is to be given attention. And I think what you both mentioned is really critical here. And I'm learning to do that for sure. I agree that repivoting is not that easy as we talk about it, because having all these changes, we have COVID-19 situation all around, the pandemic which is around. There's so much uncertainty in the job market as well. I mean, it's improving day after day, but then this is an icing on the cake for all the situations we are right now, and we have to again work on this as well. So it's an extra thing to work upon, but I think we get better day after day. Um, so we know that we are overwhelmed now, understanding that we're repivoting and we're trying to see that there is anxiety. But especially this question is to Dr. Vivi here, that at what given point in times do you realize and feel that, okay, this is the point now I need a professional help? This is very important, as in what metrics do you think is to be thought of, or what sort of thought process we need to keep in mind and seek help at the right time, because it's very important. As they say, time is ticking for us always. I would like to hear your thoughts.
I would actually, because I work closely with certain college counseling centers, especially in New York area. Usually college counseling centers, they really value international students, and they usually have special groups or programs that's targeted towards sort of this, providing support for international students. They don't necessarily even need to have too much of a sort of symptoms such as depression or anxiety, but it's meant for more of a general sort of psychoeducational and kind of a support among international students. So really look into your campus, look into the college counseling, and to see if they offer this kind of groups. If not, make suggestions and see if they could set up a group like this. And so it would be a really great place to start, to feel like you are not the only one who is really struggling, having certain kind of challenges, right? Studying in the US, that you actually have a lot of peers who's walking alongside you and who's feeling similarly. But the power of being in a group, connecting with others, is that you feel validated. Okay, you don't feel that you are the only one who's struggling as much, and you feel that you can get support and tips from your peers in terms of, in that situation, how do you navigate it? How do you, move from being frustrated, upset, to a place where you feel comfortable and confident again? And so don't overlook the power of connecting with a group of peers who have similar experience as you. That's number one. And in terms of how to manage that. And number two is, when it comes to a more advanced level of symptoms, I think it's helpful to know that, are you functioning at your baseline, right? If typical you is energetic, or typical you is able to get up in the morning and in order to go to class, or in order to do the errands, right? And able to maybe work on your resume or practice job interviews, for example, then if one day, or maybe for a few days, you recognize, hey, how come I am struggling to get up in the morning? Hey, how come I'm even struggling to change and eat my regular meals, and I don't even want to go out as much as before? Like when my friends reach out to me, I just feel a sense of blah, right? And so all these, in terms of your sleep pattern, the change of your eating pattern, and also your activity pattern, energy level, when there's any change of these things, you want to be very closely monitoring yourself and start more actively engaging in coping strategies, right? In our test run, Vaish sort of share a lot of sort of really helpful coping strategies that she has commonly utilized herself, right? Such as practicing yoga, right? You don't need to be a yoga guru in order to benefit from doing yoga, right? The purpose of yoga is to help you connect better with your body and mind, and to help you slow down and be more reflective, be more mindful. Okay, so when we are better able to integrate different part of ourselves and system, then it's more likely we can slow down and we can identify what is really making us feel overwhelmed, what is really weighing us down. Then we know that, oh, that is the problem we need to fix. Let me go back to work on this, right? And so yoga, I'm a big enthusiastic for yoga. So this is one of the things. If you don't necessarily enjoy yoga, just practice deep breathing, or sort of speaking and connecting with a few friends or a few family members who you feel supportive of you, right? Make sure you are selective in terms of people you seek support from, right? You want to make sure that you feel comfortable, right, with their reaction and response to you, that you want to make sure they are wise and they are helpful and supportive. Yeah.
Really
Wow.
glad
I
for
mean,
that. Yeah,
yes, amazing.
one point that I would like to add as well,
Sure,
we,
go on.
as a non-American professional or candidates or students, right? We may come from a culture that we were not taught to ask for help. It's like we have to be the winner of the family, need to be seen as the someone who achieved great things all the time. But actually, asking for help is not a sign of weakness or failures. It's a sign of wisdom. And since you are here in this new culture, ask for help.
Yeah. One thing I want to sort of connect with that Coach
Sure.
Han's point is that in my coaching with many international students, they often bump into problems because they are behind their assignment. They're behind whatever they need to do. Guess why they're behind? It's not because they don't do their work. It's because they are stuck and they bump into some issues in the materials, and they are trying to figure out how to resolve the problems, right? How to make themselves understand, right, the materials, for example. But then in that process, that they forget that actually they are running behind their schedule, right? In terms of assignment and all that, and which in turn actually leave a bad impression in school on professors, in the job setting, probably on your employer. Okay, so American culture in general values people who are proactive. Okay, I think that is a very important key concept for a lot of international students to recognize, is that if you have a habit of doing your best and put your best foot forward in order to feel like you can present yourself to people, then you need to think twice about this approach. It is good that you strive for the best and the best self, but at what point is that striving and that desire kind of getting in the way of you coming across as proactive and eager to problem solve? And so being able to recognize when to reach out for help is very critical.
Yes, so critical, important points you guys shared. I completely agree to the fact that every person needs a support system, and getting that right is very important for every person, may it be international student or the local student here. And I completely agree to that. We should not miss out on any questions with our audience as well, because I can see in the comments that they have some questions. So if anyone has a question, please feel free to type in here, or you can ask live questions to Dr. Vivi and Coach Kwon. They are here to help you guys. So please take this opportunity ahead. Anybody in the audience, you can please raise your hands or you can unmute yourself. Then we can go ahead. Yeah, I think Charu Datta has a question. Charu Datta, can you please unmute yourself and ask a question? Or if you're comfortable typing in the question in the chat box, that is also okay for us. Okay, he's not able to unmute. So can you just drop in the question in the chat box? That would be more helpful, because we are just trying to make sure that there's not a lot of disturbance in the call. So if you're not able to unmute, you can do that. I think that's one of the options. Anybody else, if you have a question? please feel free if you can ask in the chats or you can just answer back. But having said that, I just had this, I'm curious to know, even you guys now, you guys are coaching us. And I am happy that I have a support system of ICAway where I can go back and, share my overwhelmingness or, talk to Coach Kwan about it. Or maybe I can talk to Dr. Vivi now about what I feel. But if that is the case, do you have had this situation when you were here as an international student? Like job search has been, I think, common to you guys as well. Like how you both have, navigated through that. That would be very interesting to know. Maybe first Dr. Vivi can go ahead and then Coach Kwan can add to it, your personal experience. Maybe that can make us feel better. Okay, we are sailing in the same boat in the sense.
Yeah, I think that my job search it's been a long time already because now I am a business owner like Coach Kwan. But job search process when I started out after school, it was really nerve-wracking because as an international student, you know that visa transition phase is so nerve-wracking that it's so hard to, especially my field, it's not so easy to find foreign workers in my field, mental health. And so, so I really had to take a lot of time to identify potential employers, right? And who would potentially sponsor me, right? Even during the interview, right? I hesitated, right? In terms of, when should I bring this up that I need visa sponsorship, right? Is it going to jeopardize my chance of getting accepted, right? Being hired as an employee, right? And so that really put myself in a lot of doubt, right? And when guess what we said is when you have doubts, right, you may not sometimes come across as not so confident, right? And so this is something I think most international students need to be aware of, as that, of course, you are international students. In order to stay, you need visa sponsorship, right? But how to position in a way that not allow that to get in the way of you coming across as confident, and how you can position yourself in a way because of your background, because of your somewhat different experiences as compared to potentially maybe people around you, that you actually have very unique advantage and perspective that you can contribute to your potential workplace and employer. And so so my process, again, it was a lot of headaches. It was a lot of nights tossing and turning in bed. And I would say the process probably at least took me 6 months, right? And actually, I had to work with my school program at that time to extend my student visa for a semester in order to allow myself enough time to find a work visa sponsor. So sometimes it may be arrangeable with your school program, right? As you are kind of struggling with, finding a sponsor for your job, then potentially school can help you to extend your student status for a little bit and just maximize your chance of getting a job that you would be able to stay. Yeah, so that's that part. And also the part to find, I would say, to find a job that will sponsor your green card, because ultimately students want to be able to stay long-term in the US and don't want the hassle anymore of every 3 years or every 6 years need to extend their work visa, need to find a different employer, right? So that was a lot of headaches and a lot of struggles. And I often sought support from my family. And I feel like I couldn't really speak much with my American peers about this because they couldn't really understand. They could only share compassion, but they couldn't really understand what I was going through. But just, getting a lot of kicking and kind of like sleepless nights. But ultimately, I believe that I was able to, with that, just this is what I need during job interview, that I told my employer at the end of the first meeting that I make sure I let them know that I've done my best in the interview, and in the end, I let them know this is what I would need in order for me to come on board. And it is up to them to decide whether or not it's something they can provide. And so I think the confidence is about speaking, performing your best at job interview, right? You don't necessarily want to bring this up as the first thing in the interview, but you want to make sure you perform your best. And then, but definitely there's no need to hide this, or no need to shy away from sharing this information that you need sponsorship, because only when you're able to speak up about your needs, then you come across as confident, then you've done your part of the job, and allow your potential employer to come forward. If they really recognize your value, they will find a way to sponsor you, even if they don't necessarily sponsor people. And that was my experience. Yeah.
That's an amazing story. Thank you so much, Dr. Vivi, to share that. Coach Kwan, would you like to go ahead with your story, or we just have a quick question I've received, or you want me to bring up the question for discussion?
Well, since we have limited time right now, let us
Yes.
jump right to the questions.
Jump to
We
the
also
questions.
have, I also have something
Sure.
in my private box, with a student as well. But Vice,
Sure.
go ahead. I can
Okay, perfect.
answer this question later.
Perfect. So this is a question from Charadata asking that having 12 years of experience in academia and being a first year PhD student now and planning to enter the work industry, in that sense, is it really possible, and how does the culture really look? Because after you have had a little bit longer experience than usual, just they're trying to understand how is the corporate culture and how to navigate and cope with that. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, we have the same question here.
Okay, awesome.
The answer is yes, it is possible for sure. Pivot your career, it also depends on what is your background, right? But PhD student, you are hardworking, you are intelligent, you have lots of skills that so many people don't have. But all you need to do is just to define your new career goal, like moving from academia. What will be the job in the industry that you are pursuing, and what industry would that be? But the answer is yes. And the culture is going to be different for sure, fast paced. And what Dr. Vivi just mentioned, communication, proactive, the culture is going to be quite different, and it's performance based as well. So actually, it's the question that we can even set up a session for 1 hour to answer.
I completely agree to that. That can lead to a longer discussions for sure. Having said that, I think Coach Kwan, you had your story to share. Maybe you can just mention about your story now.
Yes,
Because
of
as we
course.
have,
Of
yeah.
course. And make it short. Okay. So like what Dr. Vivi was going through, right, as an international student and become a professional here, I completely understand, because I have coached like more than hundreds of students sitting in the fire with them each day, going through the same process with them. But when I came here to the US, I got lucky. I didn't have that work visa issue. I came here with my green card, but also experienced the obstacle a little bit as well. During the time that I was waiting for my green card, like the employer will ask about my EAD card, and if you don't have it yet, they don't want even to have a conversation with me. Another barrier that I have, as a professional woman back home in Thailand, in the Asian region, right, with like at that time was 15 years of work experience, I was so confident in my abilities that it should not be hard for me to find job here, but I was completely wrong. When you're in the new territory, right, the new transition of life, it's like you have to start all over again. And at that time, the feeling of having to start all over again, for me, I resist it so much. I feel like I already have what it takes to be successful. Why do I have to learn new things? And that was wrong. I should come here with a more open-minded abilities. And when I have that growth mindset, and I recourse myself, recorrect my ability to have that growth mindset again later on. And once I have that, I started to learn new culture. I stopped resisting, and then I start learning, and I grow so much, especially at this time of having my own business here in the US from scratch, no connections, right? It worked because I started to have my growth mindset and stop resisting, thinking that I already have, 100%, feeling like I always need to learn new things. And again, instead of comparing myself with other people, I start to feel like if I see someone who's so successful, I will want to learn from them and feel that they are so inspiring and be humble. I think that is the phase that helped me transition from being so self-critical to like enjoying my new phase of life and open up and see tremendous growth of my life.
Wow, you both are so inspiring. Please go ahead, Dr.
I
Vivi.
want to echo what Coach Kwan just said in terms of cultivating a growth mindset. Kind of continuing along the line with what I shared before, I think that it's very easy for international students to just look at what we don't have yet or what we are not able to do yet, but forgetting about we do have strength, then we need to discover that. And another part of my journey is that in my internship year, before the national match process, I was really in a very doubtful place about my capacity, right, as a potential sort of doctoral candidate, and am I going to be able to stand a chance in a national competitive sort of an internship match process. So I told myself, if I continue to take this really passive and doubtful approach, I guarantee myself I'm gonna write a very bad sort of essays, right? And sort of application materials, right? And with that, I guarantee myself that I may not be able to find to get good interviews, right? And it's definitely for sure, I'm not gonna stand a chance, right, to be competitive, right, in that match process. So I decided that it's very important to start with myself. No matter how deep down I feel so struggling, I feel so doubtful, and I feel so beaten up, right? After 4 years of school at a doctoral program, right? Competing with majority American peers. I had to take a very drastic mindset shift. No matter what, I chose to use a growth mindset. I chose to take I can do it mindset, and I chose to just focus on my strength, right? With that, every day I had to practice several times a day. I had to keep redirecting where my mind goes. And when I catch myself, like, am I going to be able to do that? What if, like, what if I cannot do this? What if I'm, not able to write a good essay, things like that. I had to quickly redirect myself and tell myself, I can do this. I can do this each time. And gradually, when we redirect ourselves often enough, frequent enough, we get into a more positive cycle, which is I can do cycle, right? And so that would start a cycle of positive things coming to you. And with that, I got a lot of interviews, even interviews that maybe some of my American peers didn't get. And then I got selected into a top internship option that I had.
Right.
So that is the process that I think students can take.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your insights here. I think after hearing to all this, I can understand that success mindset is not just a one big word, but it comprises of small little efforts in every direction. Maybe self-compassion, maybe asking for help, maybe understanding where your interest lies in, and trying to get better at it, and self-comparing yourself and trying to be inspiring for your own life and just not with respect to others. And it's really interesting to know your stories as well, and really inspiring. I would ask Coach Kwon to, sort of wrap up the session because we are in the near time of the event. Not taking no ado, I think.
Thank you so
Over
much,
to you, Coach Kwon.
Right, we have 5 more minutes here, and I would like to share additional resources for students that want to read more or learn more, Dr. Vivi wrote an amazing article. So let me grab that link and share this with you. And for ICAway, I have also created 3-week career strategy series that will help you gradually build your new network and career brand for job applications in the US. So those are 2 resources that I recommend. And on top of that, if you want to speak with me one-on-one, I also have a special gift for you. I know that we have a few friends that still have some questions, and I'd be happy to share that during our one-on-one call. And actually, this one-on-one is meant to be a resume review. What you have to do is just to let us know how do you like this webinar or what we can do more for you. Dr. Vivi, you have any last word of wisdom for our international students today?
Yes, so I also welcome if any students would like to reach out to me. You can go to my website and feel free to schedule a 30-minute consultation with me. So I think when we think about this mindset, as Vice shared, that success mindset, it feels very vague and very like you cannot touch. Like, what is this? And what a cliche about this concept. Of course, you need to build a success mindset, right? But the beauty and the art of it is, how do you execute this in your day-to-day life? Because it is really not necessarily just about each milestones, but also the every step you take to lead to each major milestones, right? And if you take every day the best step possible, right? If you every day decide to redirect yourself when you have self-doubts, and you frame it in a positive way, and you remind yourself of your strength and how you can make things happen in the US, then of course it's going to lead to each major milestone. That is a guaranteed, but you need to implement that on a very minute scale, day to day, several times a day, as long as you catch yourself having doubts.
Wow, that's amazing. I think this is very critical for everyone to understand. And I'm sure everyone will give their feedback and try to get the session. You should really talk to Coach Kwon and Dr. Vivi to understand better with your careers and how to navigate as international students. I have found my support system. I hope everyone here will be able to really able to find that out. And I wish everyone all the very best. And before we close the session, I would like to have one sentence each as a summary of the session. What would Coach Kwon and Dr. Yu think of the session, and what you want to say as this is the takeaway for all the students here on the call and the professionals? I'd like to hear as a last takeaway. Yeah, please.
I would say strength. Focus on your strength.
That's so important.
Think about your strength.
Powerful. Yes.
Love
yes,
that.
Coach Kwon.
Wow, one word.
Your takeaway.
I always like to encourage my students to get outside of their comfort zone.
Right.
Face your fears.
Yes.
Look into the eyes, look them into the eyes and say, I'm not afraid of you. Right?
Awesome. So yeah, it seems like you have to gather the courage to come out of your comfort zone and fight the fears and to succeed in our careers. I think that can be the best we can think of. That's amazing. Please feel free to look at the next webinar session, which Kwon has shared in the chat section. And I would like to thank once again from the bottom of my heart to Dr. Vivi and Coach Kwon for being here and conducting this webinar for all the international students community and the professionals who want to succeed. And everyone who has taken their time out of their busy schedule and being here. Wishing everyone once again a happy new year and a safe one and a great one for sure.
Thank you so much also, Vaish, for moderating the discussion. Thank you, Kwon, and thank you, everyone. for a great discussion.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
joining me
much.
today. And
Thank
wish
you.
everyone lots of success in 2022.
Yes.
Yes.
Best wishes.
That's
Have a great
amazing.
weekend.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
See you,
Bye.
everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.